All right, welcome back. So we're going to talk about how to move a character using the keyboard controls. Pretty easy to do here. You're going to look at the motion blocks, okay? And then you're really going to look at a couple different options. So let's take an event here, and we're going to drag this out. And we want it to be a right arrow. Okay, so we have our right arrow. What we can do, if we click on that right arrow, and if you want to use WASD, you could do that too, so we could use the D in WASD. That's totally fine if you're more into the gamer kind of thing, but that's really what this is making a game and using keyboard controls to move your character. You can go to motion, and there's really two options. So you can use the move, okay, and what you're going to have to do is use the point and direction. Because it's the D key, I'm actually going to use the right arrow just to keep things simple so everybody understands which direction we're going. You press the right arrow, it'll point in this direction, and if I click on this, it actually has an arrow, so you don't really need to worry about like 90 degrees, 180, whatever. You can just click on this and the arrow will tell you which way it's pointing. And so now when I press the right arrow, that character is going to move 10 steps. And if I wanted to change that, if I wanted to move slower, I could make it 5. If I wanted it to make it more, I could do 25. And 25 makes it move further each time I hit that right arrow. So that's the one way. And then you can actually, of course, you're going to have to program all 4 of your arrow keys. So you can right click on that, and you can duplicate it. And then you just have to adjust these. So we're going to do the left arrow, and I want it to point in this direction. Okay, and I'm going to change these back to 10 just to keep it little smaller steps. And now when I hit the left arrow key, it's going to go this way, but oh my goodness, look what's happening. It's upside down. So that's a problem. We can either go to direction down here and we can lock the rotation style. So I could click on this and just say I always want it to be left right. Or if I wanted to, I could go right down here and set the rotation style this way. Which isn't a bad idea. So because I'm moving right to left, I'm going to set the rotation style this way, left to right. Now, when I duplicate this and I add my other, let's make this a little smaller here so we can fit all these. We're getting a little bit too much code. Now I'm going to do the down arrow. Well, let's use the up arrow first. Now I can change the rotation style. So now I can say all around, or maybe I don't want it to rotate at all, but maybe I do. Maybe I want that character to face that direction. So I'm going to say all around. I'm going to change my point in direction, just like this. And then and now if I press the up arrow, you'll notice it changes the rotation style and it allows that character to look that direction. So it's following that. Now if I didn't want to do that, I don't have to. I could do left, right, and then it's just going to move up like that. Totally up to you. Just depends on how you want your character to rotate. Okay, and then I'll set the down arrow as well. And so very similar. We're going to do down arrow. We're going to do all around, and we'll point in direction, and we'll point down. Okay, so now when I hit the down arrow, the character is looking like this and moving down. You got your right, you got your left, you got up, you got down. That kind of thing. Okay? Now, you can also change the X locations and things like that. So if you did not want to have the character use steps necessarily, you don't have to. You can actually drag these out of here. We'll drag all these out. Okay? And I can actually just use the change X location. So if I change this in a positive way, it's going to have my character move to the right because that's the way the X values change. Is if I move them this way, those values on the grid here are increasing. Okay, so now if I want my character, I could still have my rotation style, but when I hit the arrow, it's now going to change the X location by 10. And it will move across. And maybe it's no different really than the move 10 steps. We're just changing the X location by 10. And then I can do the same thing with this. However, if I want it to go left, I'm going to have to take away the 10 steps. So I want to have that decrease by 10. And so now if I hit the left arrow, oops, click off of that, hit the left arrow, and it will do that. Now notice it's not actually pointing that direction. So I might have to do a point in direction on this, okay, and tell it that I want to point in that direction. And now it would do that. So I'd have to do it with this as well. Probably should have to keep the point in directions on there. Okay, same thing with this, except instead of the change the X, we're going to change the Y. Okay, so same thing with this. If I move the character up, the Y location is actually increasing as I move the character up. Okay, and if I wanted the character to actually face that direction, I would want to bring the point in direction to that as well. So we're going to tell it to point up, and then we're going to tell it to change the Y by 10. So if I press the up arrow, now it's moving up like that. And again, same idea for the down arrow. We're going to point direction, have it point down, and then we're going to change the Y. But because we added to the Y location to have it go up, we're going to change it by a negative and have it subtract to move down. So now I can do it this way. Okay, and point to the right, left, up, and now my character works. There are these set X and set Y. You would use this more for like changing where you want the character to actually be. Okay, so if I wanted the X to be at a certain number, I could do that. So let's just say I want it to, let's say my character's over here, right? But this negative 110, this was actually where it was at. Oh, see how this number changes where my character is? So negative 110 was like kind of right around in here. Maybe I'm over here, and when I press the left arrow key, I want it to jump to that location, and it will do that. And then, you know. But the problem with that is this will always be set to 110. It's not going to move. So that's kind of a problem. But if you wanted to do that, you absolutely could. But the set, make sure you don't use these unless you're wanting that X location to set to that spot. Same thing with the set Y. Okay, so that's kind of how you program a character to move with the keyboard controls. The next video will actually talk about changing that with the mouse. So maybe you want it to move with the mouse and drag the character around. You can do that as well, but we'll talk about that in the next video. Hopefully this helps you with your game and developing an awesome game in Scratch. Good luck.